So I'm David Coombes. I work for NVIDIA. I'm a development programs manager for GameWorks, which is all of our technology for game development that's related to not just GeForce, but also on mobile devices like the NVIDIA Shield Android TV and our tablets. What do I think about VRLA? VRLA is awesome. I mean, it's like the place to come to see VR. It's probably the biggest show in the world for VR. It's really well organized. It's a great event for us. The thing with VR is that we have to run 90 frames a second. Typical video game on a console is 30 frames a second. Typical PC game is maybe somewhere around 60 to 80 frames a second. We have to run 90 frames a second, and we have to run in stereo. So we have to render everything twice, once to the left eye, once to the right eye. So for VR, you can need maybe as much as 7 times more performance than a regular video game. We want to be involved in every part of the VR ecosystem. So whether it's stitching VR for 360 videos, or we work very closely with game developers, work very closely with application developers, making sure that our technology works seamlessly with their engines. We work closely with technology providers like Epic Games with their Unreal Engine and Unity Technologies with the Unity Engine. We make sure that our technology works really well with them so the game developers can easily make games that run really fast and work really well for VR. Yeah, I think opportunities in VR. VR has got the potential to change the world. I mean, games are a very obvious application, but social VR is awesome. Being able to go meet people from across the world in a space and talk to them, and when you talk to them, they turn and look at you and follow you as you're having a conversation. That's hugely powerful. One of the things that's completely amazing that just happened just before Christmas, or just after Christmas actually, there were some doctors who planned an operation on a little girl's heart, and they did that using a Google Cardboard because they were able to look at a model of the heart in 3D and look at it and plan the operation ahead of time. And they did that with the Google Cardboard. So imagine what we can do when we provide them with high quality VR headset and loads of GPU performance. It's going to change the way people do operations and things like that. It's a convergence of the fact that we now have high-resolution headsets and we have really good tracking, the ability to be able to track where someone's head is. All of that takes more GPU performance and more performance to get to where you need to be. Combine that with, I think, an appetite in consumers to try new and exciting things. And I think VR is something that people are excited about. So it's a convergence of different things, and that's what's making VR so exciting and compelling right now for the consumer. The future's going to be weird. I mean, just think about it. So one of the things that NVIDIA technology is being used for right now is it's some luggage that just follows you around. So you don't have to carry a suitcase anymore. It locks onto your cell phone and follows you around. So as you walk through the airport, your luggage just follows along behind you like a little robot. Okay, that's not virtual reality. It's kind of augmented reality and robotics and stuff. But yeah, the future's going to be awesome. Virtual reality. One of the interesting things is it changes. In a regular game, you, the game designer, kind of have more control over where the camera is going to be. But with game development, with virtual reality, the player decides where the head is in the world. So you're going to have to take into account tall players versus short players. They're going to see a different view of the world because their head's going to be in a different place. But also where their hands are. And they have complete control over all of that. So that's a very different thing to what, normally with a normal game, you have a set of pre-canned animations that you play back. In a VR game, the player actually controls where their hands are in the world and what they're doing in the world. So that's very different. And another thing that's interesting about VR that doesn't exist in a normal game is in VR, once you've looked around the world in VR and you start to do things, you start to become aware of yourself, right? When you're doing VR, you look down and see that you've got a body and arms and legs and stuff like that. And that's something that as a game developer, we've never had to deal with before. So that's a new, it's really interesting. That sense of having a body in the world is very interesting. So storytelling becomes really interesting because as a movie maker, you control where the camera is and you control the cuts and you have complete control of what the viewer is looking at. But with VR, the player can look around, they can get distracted, they might miss important plot points, things that you wanted them to focus on. So yeah, there's going to be you're going to have to learn a new way of telling stories and allowing people to discover the narrative rather than just giving them the narrative. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. People have got to learn how to make VR content that works. A few years ago, I was working with 3D with stereoscopic TVs, and it was really interesting to see every 3D movie that came out. The 3D was a little bit better than the last movie. It was like people were learning from each other and learning tricks. And we're going to see that with VR as well. People will find something that works really well, and then other people will adopt it. Just like with the history of if you go back to the original, the history of movies, like when people first started making movies in the 100 years ago, they didn't know whether cuts would work or changing the focal length of the camera would work. There's all these tricks that directors use to direct your attention to what the story that they're telling. And we're going to have the same situation in VR. People are going to have to learn what this new language of VR is. And that's just something we'll have to discover together. It's not that directors have got ideas, but what will end users actually like and enjoy. So it's going to be interesting. So typically, if you experience discomfort in VR, it's because your eyes are telling you something about the world that's different to what your ears are experiencing and the rest of your body's experiencing. So if we take you and we suddenly flip you upside down, your eyes think you're upside down, but your head knows you're still the right way up. So, and that can cause discomfort. So we have to avoid doing things like that in VR. One of the things we have to avoid is suddenly moving you. I'm moving at this speed. If you suddenly picked me up and moved me really fast over there, then that would make me feel strange. Or if you drop me. Have you ever been dropped in VR? It's pretty fun. They just drop you 20 feet. It's like when you're falling asleep and you feel that drop in your feet. It's the same sensation, right? You just so yeah, it's one of those things where we have to be very aware of how you move someone through the world, because we don't want to go past that threshold of making it feel unpleasant. VR is awesome. You just got to try it to see it, to believe it. It's amazing.